Alright, so at this point, it's time to start training your bird on the creons. He's already eaten from your fist, and he's getting more adjusted to that. And so, what this sort of is just a secure way for you to train him to fly to your fist and to a lure over longer distances without the worry of him escaping, as you can see. Come on. Chill out. Sorry about that. Anyway, so as you can see, the setup we have here, because my backyard has a lot of trees around it as you look around, and it's pretty small. So if we were just to use him on one string secured to one point in the middle of my backyard, he would be able to get up into trees and get stuck. So what we've done is we've run a string from this perch that I built to that tree all the way down there. It's about 50 feet, probably 60 feet, something like that. And we've attached him using this cord to this ring, which is able to run freely along the string. So he can go as far lengthwise along the string as he wants. He's got enough slack so that he can stand on the ground if he decides to jump off a perch or something like that. And that's designed so that he can't get up into trees. So let's get to it. Well, obviously the first step is to get him to jump a small distance to your glove. This is probably a little ambitious, maybe a little closer. I've cut up some tidbits already, some little pieces of meat, some quail. They're in this pouch here. It makes it a little bit easier that you don't have to fumble around with a knife and a whole thing in your hands. And he'll start to pick up on it, and he'll like anticipate and start coming to your glove before you want him there. And that'll be sort of awkward if you have like a whole quail in your hand or something like that. So we're just going to take a piece out, and we're going to turn around and we're going to call him verbally, whether you're using some sort of vocal thing or a whistle, and you're going to hold your fist out away from your body, and hopefully he'll come. So let's give it a shot. Come on! Just like that. Okay, so he's jumped to us from a short distance away. So now we're just, you keep repeating the process. Maybe we should get a little closer, see if he's running back. Oh, he's just going to mute. So we're just going to put a piece on and do the same thing. Come on, bud! And then eventually you're going to want to do it until he's flying the whole length of the creons. Now, this one that we have set up in this yard is pretty short, so after we finish up here, we're going to move to a bigger field with a different type of creons that'll be a little longer. So let's just get this going here. Come on, bud! Alright, cool. So now it's time to set up bigger creons. Now that we finished training him in the backyard, he flew about 50 feet to me in the backyard comfortably. And now that I have a giant hood, we've been able to move him to a bigger field. So, as you can see, we've brought over the pitch back to this area. This is the athletic fields at my school. And I've set up a new creons. This string here, which I'm going to attach to him shortly, extends all the way down there about 50 feet to that metal cage, and it's tied on there. So the benefit of this is that now if I stood 50 feet on the other side of that metal cage, he would be able to fly a total distance of 100 feet to me as opposed to the 50 that he was doing in the backyard. The one thing you have to make sure of when you're doing a creons like this is that this string can't be long enough so that he could fly from here over to that stand of trees or something like that and get up in a tree, because that can cause problems. He'll get tangled. So let's go ahead and begin. Alright, so as you can see, I've got my whistle here, or whatever audible mechanism you're going to use to call him. If it's your voice or a whistle or something, get that ready. I have tidbits cut up here, so I'm going to just take one out where you can't see. And then turn around and call him at the same time. Come on! string. So as you can see, we've gone back a little farther from where we were before. There's the metal cage. I'm going to take another tidbit out, and we're just going to do the same thing. The wind's calmed down a little bit. Come on! Now, it's important, even if he comes to you before you blow your whistle or call him verbally or something like that, it's important to do it anyway, because this reinforces the behavior, and then when you're out flying him, he'll definitely know to associate that audible call with you wanting him to return, and he'll think it's food. Whether or not you're going to actually give him food is a different story, but that's the key to enforcing that sort of recognition of the audible call. If you don't do it every time, he won't know the significance of it. He won't learn the significance. So now we've come back a little further still. You would work this up incrementally. I'm just doing this to show you. You can see we're about halfway now. We're probably about 25 feet from that little metal thing. So we're going to do another one. Here's a little piece of meat. Come on! And you'll notice on that one, he sort of, he jumped the gun a little bit. As I was turning around, he started to fly towards me. And as you're training your bird, that might happen. And that's a good thing, that's what you want. That he's anticipating and that he's eager. You definitely don't want him to be reluctant. So you'd rather have him be a little more eager than a little more reluctant. Alright, so now we're standing about 50 feet away from that metal cage over there. So this is the point you're going to want to reach eventually. You're going to want your bird to be flying about this far to you, double the length of the string. So you can work it up incrementally. It doesn't have to be the same exact thing every time. If your bird is getting really comfortable with the training, then just jump a few extra feet. So this is ultimately the goal. Come on! There you go. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your lure and introduce it to him. So if you have a red tail, this is the shape. You're going to want your lure to be supposed to look like a rabbit, not really. If you have another type of bird, a falcon or something like that, you would want one that looks like a bird. And so the goal of this is that he can see it a little bit farther away from your fist, because you can swing it around and stuff like that, and it eliminates the need for him to fly and land on the fist of a human, which essentially to him is a large predator. So you'll be able to get him to fly farther to you if you're using this, and more reliably if you're using this. So it's pretty simple. You just take your piece of meat here. It's tricky here because he's already seen me use this, and so I don't want him to see me. And you just tie it on. And the first couple times he's not going to know what this is, so you're going to need to take it and throw it right in front of his face, like that, with the meat up. He's already wed to this, he knows what it is, so he's a little more eager than your bird will be. But if you sit it right in front of him, if you sit it right in front of his face with the meat facing up, he should have no trouble. And you'll probably have to do that a couple times just until he learns what the lure is, and then you'll start working him up incrementally from there until he's flying to you about the same distance. So now that you've thrown the lure right in front of your bird's face a couple times, and hopefully he's learned to associate it with food, you can start working him up incrementally as you were doing before. So now I've sort of just jumped back to about 50 feet, and we're going to call him, and we're going to swing the lure around like so. Come on! And then just throw it on the ground, or you can like drag it a little bit on the ground to make it a little tricky for him. And then he eats the meat right up. Come on! Nothing left. Come on! That's another thing you want to do is try and train your bird to fly directly straight upwards onto your fist from the lure. It's good exercise for them, especially red tails, because they don't usually get bursts of speed like that. It's good exercise, and it's just good behavior. Alright, so again, eventually you want to work them back up to about this far away using the lure, and just keep doing the same thing. Uh-oh, he jumped the gun again. So that might happen in your training. You might jump the gun a little bit like that, but that's usually a good thing, as annoying as it may be. And then you're ready to fly free.